Please, help me. I'm locked in my bathroom and I'm not alone. It's bad enough being claustrophobic, but something more sinister is happening here. I've tried calling for help, but my calls won't go through. Neither will my texts. I had come home from work last night at about 7 p.m. I had put my keys on the counter and made my way to the bathroom. It had been a horrible day, and I had to hold in my emotions the entire time at the office. I splashed water over my face and just stood there, examining myself. As I stared at my own reflection, I broke down. I sobbed so hard that it became hard to breathe. Everything that could have gone wrong did so. I couldn't take it anymore, and just let it all pour out, like a broken fire hydrant. After about 5 minutes of continuous sobbing, I took a deep breath and composed myself. I looked up at my reflection and noticed that something was wrong. I was smiling, but I wasn't. I know I wasn't. I could feel my own face, and there was nothing even close to a smile. What the hell? I said to myself, feeling my cheeks and lips to make sure I wasn't doing it involuntarily. I soon realized that the facial expressions on my face and that of my reflection were not the same at all. I became immediately unnerved. Even with all the motions of my face that I was now making, confusion, concern, and then eventually fear, the smile on my reflection never went away. I took a step back from the sudden shock of what I was seeing, and nearly jumped out of my skin at the sound of the door slamming shut behind me. Frantically, I tried to open the door, but the knob would not turn. It wasn't like it was locked. It was as though it was frozen in place, like some invisible force much stronger than I was keeping it stationary. I began to scream and curse. "Shit! No, shit!" I cried, tears flowing once again. As I fought with the door, I turned to look at the mirror once more. My reflection was still standing there, smiling. It hadn't moved an inch. Even as I struggled with the door, it was still standing perfectly in place, where I had left it. That is, until it started to wave at me. I started to panic and tried even harder to get out, but there was no hope. I then had the idea to try the outside window. I rushed over and tried lifting it, but it felt as though it weighed a ton. I screamed in frustration as well as an attempt to get someone to hear me as I began beating the glass with my fist, but it wouldn't budge or break. I stopped to catch my breath, gripping my hair in anxiety. Suddenly, I began to hear tapping. Quivering, I slowly turned to face the mirror again. My reflection was tapping on the glass from the other side. I began to notice that certain features were changing into something very different from my own. For one, instead of my French-tipped fingernails that I had, there was what appeared to be sharp, black claws that resembled the talons of a raven. The speed of the tapping began to increase more and more, faster and faster. My heart began to beat faster as well. One other difference in my reflection was the eyes, which were now a deep purple and slit like that of a cat. I also began to notice that the teeth were jagged and sharp like a piranha. The skin was now pale white like bone, and what was once strawberry blonde hair was now jet black. I screamed and screamed as I resumed attempting to escape, alternating between trying to break down the door and trying to smash open the window. Nothing would work. I was trapped, and between my claustrophobia, the constant tapping, and the thought of being in here with some sort of mirror demon, I was beginning to lose it. After about an hour, I had given up. I sat in the corner of the bathroom and just stared at the mirror. From the angle of where I was, I couldn't see her face, but I was pretty sure she couldn't see me neither. I could, however, still see her long, black talons still tapping on the glass. After about an hour, I heard a sound that made my heart all but stop. I heard the tiny sound of a crack, and then the tapping ceased. With my breathing heavier than ever, I slowly stood to my feet and faced the mirror. My reflection was still standing there, still with that horrible smile, but she had stopped tapping. Instead, she had her pointer finger against the glass where I could see a tiny crack. I stared at it in disbelief, and then looked up and into her deep, purple demon eyes. She winked at me, and I could faintly hear the sounds of raspy laughter. Suddenly, she began tapping again, harder and faster than ever. I shook my head and backed away against the wall, and I began to scream and cry again. No! This can't be happening! No! Once again, I pointlessly attempted to get out of there, beating on the door and the window. I tried screaming through the door and the window as well. Eventually, my throat became too strained to continue. I passed out from the exhaustion and woke up about an hour ago to the sounds of a hand slamming against the glass. I stood up and looked at the mirror and understood that I was going to die in here. What had started as just a tiny fracture had spiderwebbed into a massive broken design that looked as though it could completely shatter at any moment. There is no hope for me. I don't know why this is happening, but I am going to die. That thing is going to break through and do God knows what to me. I thought things couldn't get any worse. They did. They can always get worse. Oh my God. The lights have died. I can't get them to turn back on. Oh fuck. I just heard the glass shatter.